Welcome to Faith Positive Radio with Dr. Joey Fawcett, the Christian business coaching conversation that increases your faith with greater joy at work so you love God and others more. Dr. Joey interviews Christian business professionals just like you to discover their secrets for working faith positive in a negative world. Welcome to Faith Positive Radio with Dr. Joey Fawcett.
Hey, Faith Positive Nation, Dr. Joey Fawcett here with another episode of Faith Positive Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I really appreciate the gift of your time and energy and attention. And man, today's guest, of course, you say, Dr. Joey, you say that about all your guests, but I really am blessed with a lot of incredible guests. Today's guest has become a near and dear friend very, very quickly. He happens to be in one of our coach training cohorts that we're doing right now, so that he's getting hours towards his ICF certification, International Coaching Federation, and then also he will be a Get Positive certified coach when he completes it. So he's a part of our coach community, and I spend some time with him, about an hour and a half a week with him. He spent more than that with me, in that the training includes some videos with me in it. So bless your heart. I appreciate you enduring so much time with me. But here's the thing about it. Today's guest speaks right into a conundrum that we as business people who follow Jesus find ourselves in so often. You know, there's this one side of us that says, hey, you got to get the work done. You got to get the work done. You got to get the work done. Task-oriented, task-driven, however you want to describe it. So we've got the checklist, we got those boxes we got to knock out, right? And just things have to happen. Then there's this other side which says, yeah, but it's the people who do the work. And so because it's the people who do the work, you need to put the people. You need to be people-driven. And if you take care of your people, then they'll take care of getting the task done and things like that. Seems like I find myself talking with people who fall on one side of that spectrum or the other. Today's guest, well, let's see if you can guess which one of those two he comes down on. The name of his company is People Always Mindset. Now, I know you may say, oh, well, Dr. Joey, he's definitely going to come down on the people side. Well, hold that thought and watch this, and let's see how he talks about this, because it's an amazing, I think, mixture of these two oftentimes polar opposite ends of the continuum, and yet he brings them together in a most complementary fashion. And that's one of the many, many things I love about my guest today, who happens to be Todd Sullivan. Todd, welcome to Faith Positive Radio, man. Thanks, Joey. I appreciate you having me. It's going to be a lot of fun to talk with you today. Absolutely. Hey, if we don't have anything else, we have fun, right? Because if you're having fun, other people are having fun. So, hey, Todd, about this conundrum, if you will, that so often we feel forced to choose between task-driven, get the work done, and people-driven, it's all about the people. Speak right into that for us. Let's get in there.
Well, so I named the company, my coaching business, People Always Mindset, because in the military, you often hear mission first, people always. And from a really good organization, that's exactly what they mean. The mission has to come first. Your people have to come always. From a bad organization or leader, it means the mission first and the people are always the ones bearing the brunt of that workload, that requirement, you name it. And so I really thought we need to keep our people first. They are our greatest asset. Without our own teams, we can get nothing done. And so if we take good care of our people can get the mission done. You know, we just have to get out of their way. We just have to equip them and get out of their way.
Right. Now, you mentioned the military. Spent a little bit of time in the military, didn't you, Todd?
I did. So I enlisted back in 1988 when I was really, really young. And
you can't be so young because they won't let you in. I mean, it's not like, don't make it sound like you were 13, man. You know.
But I enlisted with the intent of spending 4 years in uniform and earning the GI Bill and getting out and finishing my college. And I retired in 2018, 30 years after I initially joined.
What'd they do? Did they hold back your GI Bill for 30 years? Is that what they did?
Yeah. They were really generous with me and allowed me to earn my bachelor's degree and master's degree using tuition assistance while I was in, and allowed me to pass my GI Bill on to my children. But I found that it was a culture and an environment that I really enjoyed and that I thrived in, I did well in, I advanced, earned a commission.
Well, let's be very specific here. Which branch of the military you served in?
So I was in the Navy.
Go Goats.
There are other branches at times. But, so to me, it was, it didn't seem like 30 years and it still doesn't.
And you're still a very young man, right?
Relatively, I guess.
Well, you're not 13 anymore.
Not 13.
Yeah, you're 43 now, right? So what was it you liked about serving in the military?
I think part of what you just said was a big part of it. I believe that I am built to serve. And I really also just truly enjoyed being able to build teams and lead teams. In my last couple of assignments, I kind of honed in my leadership statement, and that was leadership without love is simply barking orders.
Wow. Say that again a little slower so I can sink in, because somebody may be walking the dog and the dog was barking when you said that. Say it again.
So leadership without love is simply barking orders.
Leadership without love is simply barking orders. So what does love transform leadership into, Todd?
Into a real relationship. And I believe that the relationships I've been able to build have been the key to my success. That's building those with my bosses, with my counterparts, and with the people who I was charged to lead. And every person is a real person first, and we have to remember that. So when we introduce ourselves, that's important. I'm a Christian, a husband, a father. Right. By the way, I was in the Navy.
Yeah. I got you. There's a priority order to those relationships. Now, you used the word real twice in that paragraph. You referred to real relationships. What are you contrasting a real relationship with?
I think too often we see a person in a leadership position want to have the surface data, the surface information. They know that you're married. They know that you have kids. You know, they might know that you have a dog.
Or a cat. Or both.
But they don't know the importance of those facets of your life. They don't know you for who you are outside of what you produce at work.
Okay. So you are the results you bring.
Absolutely.
Okay. And so what you're talking about is breaking the relational ice in a different direction. What does that other direction look like when we're in a real relationship?
To me, it looks like I know what you do with your kids, or what kind of things, what activities you relax with, what you do outside of work, what's important to you. It might even be that you watch Game of Thrones, but understanding all of that, what your goals are for, and also how you define success now, not 5 years ago and not 5 years from now. But if I know how you define success now, I can help you achieve that, help you strive for more, strive to be better, and help you just really take care of the things that are truly important to you.
So it sounds like what you're doing is some of what Jesus did, Todd, and that is the elevation of people into the equation, so that the task-driven side is more than rules and regulations. Now, the military is built around rules and regs, right? We have to have processes and everybody understands what you do and how you do it. But what you're talking about is within that structure, moving people up to a much higher place. If Jesus is your role model in doing this, who are some people that you read about in Scripture that you see Jesus elevating and putting up first?
I think of the woman at the well.
Okay.
She said basically, I'm not even worthy of you talking to from your culture.
Yeah,
But
really.
yet he let her know how important she was.
Mm.
He let her know how bad some of her mistakes were, and that's loving her.
Mm.
So that's one, person who I think isn't the first person that a lot of people would come to mind thinking that that's who Jesus said was important, but it was important enough, and her salvation was important enough that he engaged in that conversation. And then when you just think about the people that he healed, I mean, even the people who he might not have deliberately to the crowd healed, but I felt some of my power leave me. Someone touched my cloak. He elevated all of those people to being important in his eyes and his Father's eyes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, perhaps his most famous story of all is the Good Samaritan, who in that story of those three main characters is the last one you thought would have done what would have been praiseworthy, right? So particularly in Luke's gospel, there seems to be this propensity on Jesus' part to elevate those whom the rest of us look down on. So how does that play out in a work culture?
I think too frequently at work, we might think our top producer is our top person because of their production. And from a bottom line standpoint, that may be true. But there's a person who I've spent a great deal of time talking with, and he was in a professional services company, and he was not made a partner his first year because he didn't do all those things that were on the make partner checklist. But what he did do was took really good care of the team that they entrusted him with. Significantly better than any of the other senior managers, to a point where he didn't have turnover. So he was saving the company hundreds of thousands of dollars. And when he realized that was his strength through us talking, he was able to frame that in a way that when he did his talks with the partners, that they saw the value that he brought for who he was, not for who they thought that you should be to be a partner, but for what he truly did. And by the way, he's a partner now.
Wow. So what he did was, through coaching with you, begin to understand the significance of his contribution, even to an ROI level, bottom line level, and then could reframe that and present that to the others. It seems like so often that when we're looking at people always mindsets, that we do run into conflicted mental models around how we're supposed to treat one another. Todd Sullivan is my guest today. peoplealwaysmindset.com is the website. So you can flip over there if you have an opportunity now or later. So in the midst of that conflict, which of course Jesus experienced, because you got the Pharisees, scribes, and Sadducees on one side, and then you got the rest of us over on the other, right? So you got rules and regs, and then you got the rest of us just trying to figure out what it means to, well, in that case, to literally follow Jesus, right? And today, also literally follow Jesus, just maybe not on the flesh with us. So there is that conflict. What do you say, Todd, to those people who are mission, who keep those partner check boxes in nice, neat order, who insists that the rules and regs get followed first. What do you say to those people about the benefits of a people always mindset?
Well, one, I think we should always be thinking, how do I lead better?
Okay.
And to do that, we have to understand how our people fit into the overall mission. And when we really consider that, especially in today's environment, the absolute need for quality people, because so much of what we do is not just, that piece of manual labor that's just repetitive in nature. We need people to be thinking beings.
Yeah, because the manual labor jobs are being automated daily. So
absolutely. So if we realize that if we only push them for mission and don't understand, one, why they're there, personally, we know why they're there. They're there, from a business standpoint, they're there to accomplish the work, the mission. But what drove them to your company? What drove them to want to do what they're doing? And then what's important to them? And I really believe that, in the Navy, we called it commander's intent. I think in business, we call it leader's intent. We give the why and the what, and sometimes the when, but we should never, unless it's, based in legal ramifications, say the how. And let's let our people be creative in how they do their work. Let's let them collaborate amongst each other, and let's give them the ability sometimes to set some deadlines and be resourceful, and see what we might learn an awful lot by being that overbearing, get this done by this time, this way.
This way. Yeah. Command and control, top down. So tell us some stories or some experiences that you've had or seen, Todd, in which someone was command and control, top down, mission, and transformed into understanding that at the end of the day, it's about the people, because the people are the ones getting the work done.
So I remember I was a department head on a submarine, and I was the only non-nuclear engineer on board. So I was I joked, and hopefully none of my former submarine officers are listening.
Oh, I hope they are.
Give me some grace, but I joked that I was the CSO, or the common sense officer. They were all nuclear engineers.
So they really were nuclear scientists, rocket scientists.
One of them was this very rigid, regimented checklist, driven young officer. And he was so robotic in his actions with his watch team that I finally explained to him what a term called malicious compliance.
Malicious compliance. Now, is that a military phrase, or is that one you made up?
It's one that I and a couple of friends talked about.
Okay. All right. So you guys made this up. What is malicious compliance then?
It is where I do exactly what you tell me to do, exactly how you want me to do it, even if it's wrong.
Oh, I probably enjoy it a little more if you tell me how to do it wrong, because then I just did what I was told.
And I'm
absolved of any guilt. Yeah.
And once this young officer understood that those enlisted watchstanders held the power to make him look good or not, to help him learn or not, and to help make him a better officer or not, he started realizing that there was a different way to interact with them. And he realized that he didn't have all the answers. He had some book knowledge, but he didn't have a whole lot of reactor plant experience.
Oh.
And it was a lot of fun to see him make those adjustments and start to not bark orders, but to interact with his team and ask questions. And all of a sudden, his team was doing really good things.
Wow.
And oh, by the way, all of a sudden, he wasn't getting yelled at by the engineer.
I guess things were getting done better.
Yeah. And
better results. That's incredible. So where was the turning point for him?
I believe it was, he came off an exceptionally bad watch.
Uh-huh.
And I'm almost embarrassed to say this for him, but he snapped his fingers at the young man who was making up dinner plates for the officers in the wardroom. And I was in charge of food service, and I asked that young man to step out of the wardroom for a minute. And I explained to him that his plate was made in a room where he couldn't see. And when you snap at someone, you have to expect the best result for your food.
Yeah, it's like the third time you send your steak back, you pretty much know it's going to be spat upon, right?
And you can see, like, oh.
So every action.
And so that brought us into this greater discussion of malicious compliance over the next couple of days.
Wow, isn't that amazing how just something for him as innocuous as a finger snap had such dramatic consequences and became a point of transformation. And Faith Positive Nation, that's the way God works, right? Something that on the surface appears to be commonplace, albeit misguided as that young man was. But in the common, every bush can be on fire, right? So in a finger snap, God can work and transform someone's heart. That's an absolutely amazing story. I love that. And of course, I know you followed up with him to help him understand more about malicious compliance and to really adapt and develop his work patterns and schedule. Part of the challenge is, particularly for people who are so mission driven, is they think they can code other people, if you know what I'm saying. That the human spirit can somehow be captured, codified, and programmed with zeros and ones. It's a lot messier than that, but it also defies any attempt to code, doesn't it? So what are some ways that, and you can use that, continue that story with that young man who snapped his fingers. What are some ways that you help persons who are so mission driven begin to understand that not only do we want to avoid trying to code other people, but we really want to use a different methodology that gives the human spirit, Christ within us, right, an opportunity to blossom and to achieve those greater results?
Well, I think, a big part of it is understanding where we fit in. We may have positional authority at some point, but it doesn't make us the expert.
Or a title or anything like that.
And so when we realize, okay, yeah, I do have this title, this authority, this power, this position, but without my team that's doing the heavy pushing,
sure,
I can't get anywhere. And so I think that's a big part of that. Once we understand, that, and we've all seen the picture, there's the person that thinks that they're a leader and they're standing behind everybody. And there's the other person that's a true leader out in front of everybody saying, follow me. Yeah. And it's getting from one picture to the other. And for that young man, it came down to a series of discussions about, one, what he wanted out of his first tour in the Navy. And did he be able to continue to progress and go on to be a department head, maybe eventually a commanding officer of a submarine.
So you really helped him articulate, well, first of all, develop some self-awareness, and then to articulate that. And that became his springboard to behavior change, knowing himself better. Man, Todd, sometimes it seems like, at least in my own journey previously and in other people that I coach as well, that insecurity really drives a lot of that mission. And you got to do it my way. I'm reminded of a little book written by Eric Hoffer that I first read 100 years ago when I was in college, called True Believer. And this is pretty close to a verbatim quote, but it's something like, a fanatic always screams loudest when his case is the weakest. So it's that insecurity that drives us to want to play God over someone else, right? And to take a hammer and chisel and create them in our own image instead of exploring who they are in Christ and allowing that human spirit to blossom within them. So I absolutely love that you're talking about self-awareness there and that becoming the springboard for his transformation. That's an amazing place to start. Todd Sullivan is my guest today. PeopleAlwaysMindset.com is his website. He's a coach, obviously an excellent one, and finds those opportunities that his clients can grow that self-awareness, align that awareness with some new action, and then really transform. Todd, you bring a wealth of experience. Of course, you enlisted at 13, so you had an opportunity, right, to really grow a lot and to grow fast, and I so appreciate that. Faith Positive Nation always wants to know, Todd, about our guest and their favorite Bible verse, Bible passage, Bible story, something like that. Maybe we already explored it. I don't know. What have you got a favorite one?
I do. So
Cool.
1 Thessalonians 5:11, therefore encourage one another and build each other up, just as in fact you are doing.
Mm.
I love every bit of that. Like, I believe that I'm called to help make people better.
Mm.
And I believe that that is a big part of what we do as a coach and a leader, is to encourage and build each other and build one another up.
Oh, man, yeah. And if ever there were a time such as this, when people need encouragement and building up, it is today. The pace of change and the things that threaten us are just all around us. And so thank you for being that light of encouragement and transformation and building your clients up. So I'm assuming at your website, PeopleAlwaysMindset.com, someone's interested in doing coaching with you, there's an opportunity for them to reach out to you through that.
Yes, sir, there is.
All right. Wonderful. Todd Sullivan, thank you so much for the gift of your time and expertise today. PeopleAlwaysMindset.com's website. Go there. If not right now, just as soon as you can. It's in the show notes here for this episode of Faith Positive Radio with a hyperlink right there so that you can easily go check it out. Todd Sullivan is my guest. Todd, I pray God's blessings on you, your amazing wife, your children, and a granddaughter, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. If you're not watching this on YouTube or on our website, you really should go back and watch just that one segment to see that biggest smile of the entire episode right there. Todd, thanks so much, buddy.
Thank you, Joey. I appreciate your time.
Thanks for listening to Faith Positive Radio, the Christian business coaching conversation that increases your faith with greater joy at work so you love God and others more. Suggest guests and ask questions when you email Dr. Joey at info@getpositive.today. And be sure to get your free gift of the 5 positive business conversations to have today coaching program at getpositive.today. Until next time, may God bless you with everything your heart can hope for and more than your mind can imagine.